You know that feeling, right? It's that super frustrating sense that you know exactly what you need to do to make your life better, but for some reason you just can't make yourself do it. Well, let me tell you, you are not alone. Most of us don't get stuck because we lack information. We get stuck because of a fundamental conflict happening deep inside our own biology. So what gives? Why do smart, self-aware people get trapped in patterns they know aren't good for them, sometimes for years? The answer isn't about motivation or willpower, not at all. It's about how your brain is literally wired. I mean, think about it. We all know we should exercise more. You've got the gym membership, the shoes are by the door, the knowledge is there. Or how about saving more money? You've probably made a budget, maybe you've even downloaded an app. It all makes perfect logical sense. And here's a big one. Leaving that relationship you know isn't healthy. Your friends can see it, and deep down, you know it too. You know you deserve better. And yet, day after day, nothing changes. So what is really going on here? Okay, so the first thing we have to do is completely reframe this whole problem. This isn't a personal failure. It is not about you being lazy or undisciplined. It's about the ancient survival software that's still running the show in your brain. And here is the first huge mistake we all make. We assume our brain's main goal is to make us happy. It's not. Your brain has one job and one job only that's been perfected over millions of years. Keep you alive. Survival. That's it. This really breaks down the conflict, doesn't it? You, your conscious self, you want progress, but your brain, it just wants to survive. You're looking for growth, but your brain is desperately clinging to what's familiar. You chase happiness, but your brain's prime directive is stability. And here's the kicker. Even if that stability is completely miserable. And this quote, this says it all. To your brain, familiar pain is safer than unfamiliar improvement. That's the logic. It's not asking, is this good for me? It's only asking, is this familiar? That unhappy job, that draining relationship. If it's predictable, your brain marks it as safe. Change, on the other hand, is uncertain. And to your brain, uncertainty might as well be a tiger in the grass. It triggers the exact same danger signals. But here's where things get really weird and kind of paradoxical. The more you become aware of what you should be doing, the more uncomfortable you feel. The awareness itself can actually dial up the pain.
And this discomfort, it has a name. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's that awful, grinding mental stress you feel when your actions just don't line up with your beliefs. And believe me, it is a powerful, painful feeling that your brain is desperate to get rid of.
So how does the brain stop this pain? Well, it's got two choices. Option A, change the behavior. That's hard. It feels dangerous. Option B, change the story you're telling yourself. That's easy. It gives you immediate relief. And which one do you think our brain, the ultimate energy saver, is going to pick almost every single time? You got it. It changes the story.
And that's when you start hearing that little voice in your head, right? Now's not a good time. I'll start Monday. You know, it's not that bad. These aren't just excuses. They are sophisticated, self-protective stories your brain invents to shut down that painful dissonance, just so you can stay in the familiar zone.
What's at the very root of this resistance? Most of us think we're afraid of failure. But that's not quite right. Psychologically, we're far more motivated by the fear of loss. It's a powerful bias called loss aversion. So what are you actually afraid of losing? It's not about failing at a new career, it's about losing your identity as, say, the teacher. It's not about being bad at a new life, it's about losing the routine and the history of your old one. Even a bad situation gives you a role to play, a story of who you are. And to your brain, losing your identity feels like a survival threat. This is why your comfort zone is so incredibly hard to leave. It's not just a mindset. It is a deeply wired physiological state in your nervous system. And get this, if your body is used to chaos and stress, then peace and stability can actually feel unsafe and boring, which can cause you to self-sabotage just to get back to what feels familiar. So you might be thinking, okay, but can't I just use willpower? Can I just force my way out? Well, that brings us to the next big myth we really need to tackle. Motivation is just not a reliable source of energy. It comes and it goes, right? Relying on it to create lasting change is basically a recipe for failure. It's like trying to power a city with an occasional lightning strike. It's completely unsustainable. Your brain follows well-worn neural pathways, like highways. It doesn't really care about your good intentions. So when you're tired or stressed or overwhelmed, that limited supply of willpower you have just collapses. Your brain doesn't have the energy for the new thing, and it defaults right back to the old, easy, familiar pathway. Every time. So, if brute force doesn't work, what does? Well, the solution isn't to try harder, it's to be smarter. It's about designing a new path, not just forcing yourself down the same old one. This means we have to shift our entire focus. Instead of waiting around for inspiration, we have to reduce the friction for the new habit. Instead of just setting big goals, we need to actually design our environment so that the old behavior becomes harder and the new behavior becomes the path of least resistance. And here's how that works in the real world. You start with one tiny action that's consistent with the person you want to become. Then you just repeat it. And that repetition is where the magic is. It makes the new action feel familiar. And that familiarity turns down the fear signal in your brain. Once the fear is lower, you can be consistent. And that consistency is what actually builds a new identity, one small action at a time. So let's bring this all home. If you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Being stuck has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are or what you're worth. It is the predictable outcome of your survival biology meeting your life's conditioning. And when you truly get that, when you internalize it, the self-blame and the shame can just fall away. That negative voice in your head loses its power. And in the space that shame leaves behind, real, sustainable change finally has room to grow. So I want to leave you with this question. Now that you're armed with this understanding, not as an excuse, but as a strategy, what old story can you finally let go of? What small, new action can you make familiar? What change is now finally possible for you?